Domo arigato, geek to me radio, da 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 da. Domo arigato, geek to me radio, da 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 da.
Welcome, geeks and nerds, girls and boys, for a brand new episode of Geek to Me Radio. Tonight, we have Rick Remender and Paul Azaceta on talking about their brand new book, The Seasons, from Image Comics, available in January. Later on the show, we will be giving away a couple of pairs of tickets to go see Nosferatu starting Christmas Day. All that and more, stand by.
We're talking TV, comics and movies, and video games. And if you don't know Star Trek from Star Wars, we'll try to explain. There are 12 doctors for Hogwarts houses, one ring rules them all. To be the greatest Pokemon master, you must catch them all. You must catch them all. Try to catch them all. Gotta catch them all. Gotta catch them all.
And if you're driving around the greater St. Louis area tonight listening to us on the Big 550 KTRS, hello to all of you who are listening. If you are streaming us on the web, on YouTube and Facebook, hello to all of you. We appreciate you finding us there and checking us out today. If you are streaming us on one of the KTRS apps or on the website, we thank you for doing that. And as always, if you're hearing us after the fact in the podcast form on whatever platform you do receive your podcast, we do appreciate you finding us there. Hopefully by this time you've subscribed and left us a nice 5-star review. That always helps us out in search engine optimization. So if you haven't done that yet, please do so. A full show tonight, so we're going to jump right to it. My first guest, we're waiting on Rick Remender to join us, but we do have Paul Azaceta. I hope I pronounced it right that time, joining us to talk about their new project, The Seasons, from Image. Paul, thanks for coming on tonight.
Hey, no problem. Thanks for having me. Sorry, Rick isn't here yet. He's running a little late, but he should be here any time.
We'll patch him in as he goes. We'll have to fill him in on all the stuff we've talked about. We'll see how it goes. But this is, they sent me a PDF from this. And I was able to look through it.
Great.
And the first thing that struck me, dude, your art is amazing. I love the way this comic looks.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it was something that, I mean, like, when Rick and I were coming up with a book and everything, we really talked a lot about like the look of the book and this and that. And it's kind of a departure for both of us as far as like the type of story. And I'm usually known for like more like just straight horror or like, you know, like Punisher type crime, so like that, you know. So I really was looking forward to doing something a little more like fun and adventurous, so like that too. So like I really pushed hard, and then Mateos, like the colorist and everything, we really like. I'm really happy with like how like the final look came as far as like what we were originally conceiving and then like coming out with it. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, it has such a unique aesthetic because it starts out. I don't want to spoil anything too much, but it starts out this. They've lost contact with this city. And it shows, you know, the city, and it shows the weird. I don't want to again spoil it for anything one bit, but then it flips a little bit when we go and we see Spring chasing this letter down the street. It's bright, it's colorful, and I forgot for a minute that I'm reading like a horror thriller type. Was that the intention with that art?
Yeah, definitely. Like we wanted to definitely like make it something that starts off very kind of whimsical and fun. And you know, one of our references was like Tintin, so like that, and even like Miyazaki stuff. But I love how like we loved how like Miyazaki like Spirited Away or something would start off very cutesy cartoon, you know, anime, so like that. But then like there would actually legit like scary moments, so like that later, you know. And ours will go definitely a little darker, a little more, you know, whatever. But still, we definitely wanted to start it one place and then kind of end it and like keep turning the knob to horror and you know what I mean, like so you know. So I'm we try to make it as fun and whimsical as possible too, so that people don't like, you know, so it's still interesting there. We're not, you know, like it's not just a book or whatever. But that lead to horror was something that we were really like interested in and tried to like focus on too, which is a lot of the fun in the book too, you know.
I find it interesting because you mentioned that you're mostly known for like horror and things like that, and some of the stuff, the crime stuff you've done. Do you think what is about your art that makes it that way? Because obviously your art changes. Like this is a different style for you, for example. So what is about your art do you think kind of draws people in? Is it the darkness, the broodingness? What is it that kind of has you in that vein?
Right. Well, I mean, like, I guess it was, I love black. I love like using Spotted Black and things like that, and lighting a scene and then all that stuff. Some of my favorite artists from like Mike Mignola,
Oh yeah.
John Polio, Alex Toth type stuff. So I think that just kind of spills in a lot of Italian artists too, like a European influence, I feel. And it just has like that stark black. And when people see that, I think they immediately think, oh, horror, dark, and it's not. But then at the end of the day, like I do love horror, but also like I mentioned, like Spirited Away, Tintin, Pixar. I love that stuff too. So it was an opportunity for me to kind of flex different muscles.
Yeah.
And so that I haven't really flexed before too much in other stories. Like I did a little Spider-Man, so there was some fun adventure stuff there, but it's still like superheroes. So like, oh, serious. Like this one was like, no, let's push that and have like a lot of fun, which is doing like the characters and the design and like make it almost cartoony in a way, still my style, but like cartoony and all that. And then also, and not to, Harper, or, go back to this or that, but like, and then juxtaposition of that with the horror. I thought that's the other reason too. Is like let's push this, whatever, so that we have like the horror stuff come out. It's like, oh, like it kind of hopefully has an impact even more so than just if it started off creepy and dark from the beginning, then
right.
It kind of wouldn't hit as hard,
Right. Yeah, that's a great point. Yeah, I'm always thinking of the movie From Dusk Till Dawn, where you start out and it's a
right.
crime movie. You think it's a bank robbery movie, and then it goes and completely flips the script, and it's this dark vampire film. So I guess that's kind of what you're going for, really.
Yeah. That movie's awesome, by the way. Too,
yes, I agree.
Fantastic. Selma Hayek is amazing in it.
It's one of my favorite guilty pleasure movies. I love putting that on just if I'm, I've seen so many times. You put it on for background noise, but yeah. So plus you mentioned your work. I think What If, the grim hunt that you did for Amazing Spider-Man, that was so good too, because it has that dark brooding. It was such a good story because, for one thing, Kraven's Last Hunt is like the pinnacle of some of those Spider-Man stories. Yeah. But to have that what if take on it, what was it to kind of shift to? Not that we're going to talk Marvel all night, but to kind of shift that when you got that book. Did they give you kind of an idea, or did you get picked for that book specifically because of your style?
I think partly it was the style. The writer of that, Mark Sable, is actually a really good friend of mine.
Okay.
We actually did a couple other Image books, Grave at Empires, a zombie book, and an old book that we did, one of my first things called Grounded, which was like kids superheroes high school. So that was a lot of fun. But so I've known him for years too. And when he pitched that and whatever, one of the things he said was like, hey, you think Paul could draw it? And then luckily the editors were like, oh yeah, he'd be perfect for his style and everything, And that book was a lot of fun. Like it was kind of a one-off. So like I'm happy you liked it. I feel like not as many people read it as like the regular Spider-Man, so because it's kind of like this weird one-off what if thing.
Yeah.
But no, I'm glad you liked it. That was a lot of fun to kind of twist it all and like that. And like you said, Kraven the Hunter, like that whole story arcs that they've used for him and everything, and Last Hunt and all that stuff like that. It's like so good. It's such a one of my favorite Spider-Man stories, and so it was awesome to kind of go in there and like play with that a little bit and those characters and everything. And then the one thing I said too, like I don't know what they had originally planned, but I was like, I'm just doing black costume Spider-Man, right? Because that's my main that was my main thing. I was like, I'm black costume Spider-Man. If I could do that, then I'm in. Whatever you want. I don't even care what the story is. I get to draw black costume Spider-Man the whole time,
Right. Yeah, because you got to work on some the straight Amazing Spider-Man. I think Mark Waid was your writer on that, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Wade Valenti did some stuff with him too. Yeah.
Yeah, so different tonally, obviously, the Grim Hunt versus the regular Spider-Man series.
Yeah, that was a little more like fun Spider-Man, stuff like that, even when it got serious action-y, but it was still like had the moments of like, jokey Spider-Man or whatever.
Right.
I remember there's one scene where like he gets a pie in the face, like it's a classic, so there's a lot of like that fun stuff, But yeah, that was a lot of fun. I mean, Spider-Man is just a great combination of that stuff too, where it's like, you can get like the Grim Hunt, stuff like that, and all that,
right.
But then also he's just like completely cracking jokes and fighting like the Pot Paste Pete or some crazy like silly villain, and so like that. So like it's really fun. I like playing that line. I think that's why that's one thing I think. When Rick and I were talking about this, I remember, and he could probably speak more to this too. Like, is when we've known each other for many years too, and then when he was like, "Hey, let's finally do a book." Like, my schedule's open up, your schedule's open up. Let's get this finally. Because that's always the problem is with friends. So you're scheduling, And then he threw out like 3-4 ideas at me. Like here's an idea to have cooking. Like just pick one. Like we're gonna do something together. Just pick one and we'll run with it. And I picked this one, and he was like, "Really? That one?" Like he had some other ones that were like crime and this and all that. And I was like, "No, that's exactly what it is. Like let's do something that people don't expect, that people
Yeah.
don't, you know what I mean? Like, whatever, it's gonna be a little different. And then what we love about the book is that like we really feel like we hit something that's like it's almost like sometimes even hard to speak tonally because like we hit this weird middle line with it that it makes me very excited because I don't think it's like anything on the stands and stuff like that. No, nothing, definitely not anything from mainstream or whatever. And uh, it's a really cool blend of like these different, like I said, like Tintin adventure, Indiana Jones fun, but then
Right.
also like David Lynch crazy horror weird stuff too. You know what I mean? So it's like this weird tonal story that like which is like a lot of fun to play that, and I think that's we both like fell in love now. Like now that we've done like whatever issues in the can because we're actually way ahead,
Oh,
which
good.
is great. Yeah, which is like I've never been this far ahead on anything, which is amazing. Also, it scares me a little bit for some reason. I don't know why, but at the same time, it's awesome.
And that's funny you mentioned Indiana Jones because as you've said that now, I'm thinking the whole thing where she's chasing the letter across town trying to
Right.
catch this letter, that did feel very much like in Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade where River Phoenix is trying to get after it and take the cross from those guys, and they're chasing trying to get the
that
cross
whole
back.
sequence, right? It was awesome. Yeah, and so
Yeah.
yeah, that's definitely that. I always call it like a rolling action. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's why Tintin also was great at that too. You know, like the old comics and stuff, and even the movie they did with Spielberg did and stuff.
Mhm.
But that rolling action was always a lot of fun, and so too, like we always have that like that object that everybody's trying to get, or like in our case, it's the letter, or might be the cross, the whatever the artifact of this or whatever, and then they try to get it, but then like it's constantly like falling out of your hands. It's not, and there's a car, and you almost get hit by this, and you fall off the edge of a cliff, but then you grab a tree, and then that tree, and then all of a sudden there's a monkey involved, and like it's like this kind of rolling like stakes keep getting higher and higher, and then everything, and stuff, and that was always just so much fun, and then trying to do that in comic books, but I haven't seen a lot in comic books except in like those European stuff, like
Right.
and so like we were like, how can we, and we really like took it and like did a bunch of pages, in that first issue, like took to make it like a fun thing and really try to see how can we translate it and see if we could really do this in comics, which you don't see a lot. So another thing, the book has been a bunch of stuff like what don't we see, what can we do that we haven't done, that we don't really see, that we love in other mediums and other things that we can bring to this and kind of have fun with it. So it's been awesome, like like to do that, and I'm really proud of what it is, what has become, like as far like the final product. Now we have it like the first issue, lettered, colored, and all that stuff, and I'm like I said, well into the issues and everything too. Like it's been like so much fun. It's one of my, if not my favorite project I've been doing. So
Oh, wow. That's saying something considering all the stuff you worked on.
yeah. It's no slight to anything, because I mean, like working with Kirkman and Outcast and doing the Spider-Man stuff with like all that stuff has been, working with my friend Mark, on the other stuff. Like it's been great. It's nothing, no slight on that stuff. It's just that this like just hits like so many different things
Right.
that it really, it really like kind of fulfills me in a different way, if that makes sense. Not to get too
Yeah.
highfalutin or something, but like,
Right. Yeah. Because I mean, to liken it to something else, just because I've got, a Basil Hayden toast bourbon in my hand doesn't mean I don't also like Grey Goose vodka, and I've gone off that now. I like them both. It's just nice to have the change of pace.
Exactly. Yeah. And I have some of this here. I have some Ray and Nephew rum cream.
Oh, lucky. Oh my gosh. See, I'm in a radio station, so I'm not allowed to drink. So that's all right. That's otherwise, we'll see what happens after we get off air. Sure. But so talking about the tone that you mentioned, is this going to be one that kind of we can expect to see pivot between the two tones, or once it gets dark, is it going to stay dark? Can you tell us that?
No, it'll actually be pivoting between.
Okay.
Yeah, definitely. Like, like we're not giving anything away, but like, I mean, you can see in the preview pages, there is like this evil circus that comes to town. So like it's still a circus at the end of the day. So that's the other thing I would try to keep, is that like some of the danger, like I don't want to give too much away, but like some of the things that are coming after, some of the what are still like these circusy, fun looking things, but then like are out to kill her or to grab her or do whatever, like her, or do some bad things. So it's like it is playing that ping ponging back and forth between the two, which is the fun and the kind of high wire act we're trying to play with this book, and I love that too. I love like, because I love straight horror stuff, and I'll definitely do more of that in the future, because that's one of my favorite genres, if not my favorite. But being able to like play this weird other thing, you know, like that kind of like is like this fun thing, or can like even the first cover, I'm sure you've seen it now because they sent to you, right? So it's a ringleader, you know, the ringleader guy, like with the, you know, like, which is almost like a clown looking, with you know, like, which inherently should be like, oh, fun clown, like nice color. I remember talking to the colorist, like Mateo was like, you know, like when we get to the circus, let's blow up the colors. Let's, you know, like a lot of primary colors, like make it look fun. Like don't think of it as like horror necessarily. Think of it like, no, this is like fun circus way. That it's just that what's happening is horror, and what the consequences are and the stakes are is horror. You know, so it's like that kind of thing. It's like a lot of fun. You know.
And for those of you who are listening in the chats right now, I apologize. The chat overlay, they've changed Restream a couple weeks ago, so we're getting used to this. But hello, Shannon Musler is watching us. We have our friend Chance Bartels listening from Atlanta, Georgia. We got BK on the air from Cartersville, Georgia listening. James Strecker is listening. Hello, James. Spike is watching as well. So I'm trying to keep an eye on the chats. If you have a question for Paul, hopefully we'll get Rick on here soon. You can feel free to ask us a question if you have a question for either one of these gentlemen. We're going to go ahead and take our first break. We're going to take a quick one here now. We're going to come right back in just a few moments. If you have questions, please let us know. We'll get to those questions in our next segment. You're listening to Geeks Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS. Please stand by.
Sold separately from Lego Systems.
Puppy, you're my one and only puppy love.
You can show your Pound Puppy how much you love him with snuggly Pound Puppy outfits.
Into your hooded on t-shirt. We're going biking. Snap your pop's jazzy jacket.
Pound Puppies and outfits, each sold separately.
Whoa! Now let's walk to the park. Uh-oh, thunder. Put on your dry doggy rain gear and you'll stay dry as a bone.
Hooded Hound t-shirt, dry doggy rain gear, Pup's jazzy jacket, and Pound Puppies all sold separately. From town.
Black Steel Robo Force!
Hunter the Conqueror is about to attack Max Steel the Leader. Wrecker the Demolisher to the rescue.
Ideal's new Robo-Force. Warrior robots with gripper bases and crusher arms, each sold separately.
Hundred's escaping.
Okay in there?
Okay, Dad. But we won't be safe till we're rid of Hundred.
Hundred the Conqueror, Max Steel the Leader, Wrecker the Demolisher, each sold separately. New from Ideal's Robo-Force.
Long ago at Rose Petal Place, Orchid met Nastina, the evil spider. Dolls sold separately.
Oh no, Orchid, it's Nastina. Wait till I tiptoe through your tulips, Rose Petal. Watch out, Nastina. The sky is falling. I won't fall for that. Gotcha. That'll keep her in her place.
Rose Petal, Nastina, and Orchid dolls come with all you see here, each sold separately. New from Canada.
We're going abroad for the first time in years. To Spain. So we started using Babbel.
And started learning Spanish fast.
With Babbel, you can start having conversations in another language in just 3 weeks.
¿Cómo te llamas? ¿Cómo te llamas?
When you learn a language, you want to actually use it. Babbel is designed with that goal in mind.
In just 3 weeks, we're starting to have conversations in Spanish. Gracias, Babbel.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free at Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Hey, you listen to Phil Morris, or Jackie Childs as the case may be, and you listen to Geek to Me Radio. Tune in, tune on, and turn on, baby, because I'll be right here.
Phil Morris, one of the finest actors of our day. We just did an episode of the Justice League Revisited podcast. Susan and Eisenberg and I talked to him to cover the Justice League episode Hereafter, where Phil reprises his role as Vandal Savage. That's set to drop this coming Tuesday. So if you're a fan of Justice League, make sure you check out the other podcast I do, Justice League Revisited, with the voice of Wonder Woman herself, Susan Eisenberg, every week and a half. I know it's been a little spotty lately. She's been moving, so bear with us, but we're putting a new episode up, and we've got a very special episode coming for Tuesday of Christmas Eve, too. So if you haven't subscribed to Justice League Revisited, make sure you do that now. We want to make sure we tell you about our premier sponsor, the Greater St. Charles Convention and Visitors Bureau. Longtime listeners will know the website, discoverstcharles.com. They're right in the middle of the 50th season of Christmas Traditions. It is the longest running and largest Christmas festival in the entire country. Just featured on the Today Show this past Friday. You may have seen Jack Frost out there and the Fezziwigs, and seen historic Main Street and all its decked out evergreen glory. If you haven't had a chance to make it down, you've got one weekend left. That means this coming Friday, you've got a Krampusnacht. You can go get your picture taken with Krampus, play games with the Kali Conceroy and the Mary Lloyd, challenge Grilla and Frau Percha, see if you've been naughty or nice. All sorts of fun to be had. And then Saturday and Sunday, you can come out, you can visit with Santa Claus, you can see the international gift givers like La Befana, Père Noël, Father Christmas, and so many more. And of course, we've got singing groups, carolers up and down Main Street in different period garbs. It's like you're walking into a Hallmark movie. It's absolutely wonderful with the cobblestone streets and the old buildings. It might give you a reason to come visit St. Charles. If you haven't been lately, this is a great reason, the 50th anniversary of Christmas traditions. But there's always something going on no matter what time of year it is, whether it's their Valentine's festival they do, whether it's their ice sculpting festival that they have going on in January. They have food truck days every month or so in Katy Trail and the Frontier Park right there. So if you're looking for something new to do in 2025, let me ask you to put historic St. Charles on your bucket list. Start at the website, whether you're out of town or whether you're local and haven't been there lately. The website, discoverstcharles.com, so you can see all the cool things there are to see and do in St. Charles. Click on the events tab, click on the places to stay tab, click on the local businesses because they've got a bunch of these fantastic restaurants, and these are all local. They're not a chain that you're going to go to, so you're getting good food, and in this economy, it's always so important to support small businesses. Once again, the website, discoverstcharles.com. That's discoverstcharles.com. As we always say, it's an historically good time. Chatting for a while more long here with a while more long. I think I just had a stroke. Chatting for a while longer with Paul Azaceta about the book, The Seasons, out from Image Comics on January 29th. Paul, we were talking off air. You said this isn't ongoing. It's not a limited series, correct?
Yeah, this is ongoing. Like I was saying before, I think we're both having such a ton of fun with this. We want to keep it going as long as possible. We'd love to just keep doing it. So, I guess in a certain way, it'll go as long as people love it. As long as people pick it up and we keep doing it. So, I think that's the only thing that'll kind of stop us. Because right now we had a great idea, or we thought anyway was a great idea, and a fun thing. But now that we're like knee deep in, and we've done like however many issues and stuff, like we've done 6 issues now in the can and stuff.
Wow.
So we're way ahead. We're like, oh man, we want to keep doing this. Can we just keep this going as well? And stuff. So now it's like the fun of like even more ideas now. Like oh, how do we keep going? Like what's next? But like this adventure, when this adventure finishes, like what else can the sisters get into and whatever. And that's what's great, I think, about the premise for us is that it is something that's just like it's about these 4 sisters, right? Who their parents are they're kind of orphaned.
Mm-hmm.
And stuff, and they all have like their different personalities, and the reason it's called Seasons is because they're all like named after the season, so it's spring, autumn, summer, and winter, and each one has like their own big personality for that, and and so you could kind of like go and take that basic premise thing and just kind of run with like throwing different adventures at them, different thing at that, and maybe this one, like this first one focuses a lot on spring and stuff like that, but like Autumn is like the Indiana Jones kind of sister, like she's like the adventurous girl. So maybe the next one is like all about her, and one adventure she gets into some trouble, Then Winter's like the the tortured artist girl, like kind of like almost like punky and emo or a little and whatever, So like maybe something happens with her with something. I don't know. It's like there's many ways to go about it, and we could just kind of keep those characters running and stuff. And I think that's why we're having so much fun with this, and hopefully we can keep doing it.
So then my understanding, the first story arc that we're looking at is going to mainly focus on spring then, yes?
Yeah, I mean, like all 4 sisters are in it,
right?
But spring is in the kind of like the main, kind of like the main character a little more like that, because it starts with her and the way the story unfolds the way that, so she's kind of like the main one, kind of driving like the everything. The other sisters are caught up in everything and involved in everything. I don't want to give too much away, but
yeah, no,
they're all involved. They're all in there throughout the whole story and everything too. But spring is definitely the one kind of like charging the adventure in against the evil circus that comes to town.
For a layman like me, you said you're 6 issues ahead. Is that pretty standard? Because I know usually you want to be fairly far ahead so that you can get it published, get it printed, get it out to the distributors. Right. Or are you guys 6 issues? Is that kind of more ahead than what you normally would need to be?
Yeah, I mean, no, definitely. I said this is the most ahead I've been.
Great. Okay.
In my career, whatever. So, Usually, not to get too inside baseball, or whatever, but like usually like a Marvel DC big mainstream person, they're usually like they try to be, even though it doesn't always work with their huge schedules and all the moving pieces, but they try to be like basically if let's just say issue 34 comes out right this month or like that, then I'm finishing 35 and then I'm starting 36 by the time the first, so I'm kind of like have that issue cushion between.
Yeah, a bit of a buffer.
It's usually all they have is as far as like the mainstream, like usually, I mean, like, projects vary, so but that's usually like how it ends up being. And then with Image, like because they're a little more creative around this, whatever, they give you a little more leeway, and then they usually have like 3 or 4 issues in the can. We have six, and the first issue out in January, so by January I'll have like 7.
Wow.
And into 8, I mean, like done in the can. So it's like we're like double ahead like anyone else really usually. I mean, like, there's exceptions, but for the most part it's crazy this far ahead. Actually makes me nervous, like I said.
So you got the opposite problem now. Now you're too far ahead.
Yeah, I just don't want to get too comfortable, because I'm like, I'm so far ahead. I could just like take a few weeks off, go to, Greece or something,
Now, the reason you're that far ahead is because you started early, or is it just you guys both are on the same page, so to speak, and you know what you're doing, and they're just firing them out?
I mean, like we definitely like started. I mean, there's no real early, I guess, because it was our choice to do, but we definitely started and want to have a bunch of it done before we even solicit and everything too, like because of just because we want to make sure like it, it's coming out on time, doing all that and hitting and keeping the momentum and all that and stuff. So, but what happened was that we started working on it, and we did start firing on all cylinders. We started rolling with it and getting it going, and we almost to the point where like oh man, we gotta like figure out when this is actually coming out now and everything, because we were so and then once we started doing that, and then we looked at like Image's schedule of like things are coming out, so we're like, oh, you know what, actually it'd be better in January, or something to kind of do to start the new year with this book, and just kind of let it roll from there and stuff, and just kind of like fit within schedule. And I'm like, well, all right, well we're way ahead now, so it'll just give me even more time to get even further ahead, and so it just kind of all worked out that way. But we definitely been cooking on it for a while, and kind of started really. I mean, like when we first, like I said, like he threw the first idea at me, like I mentioned earlier. It was basically a German idea. It was just like, here, I have this idea. It's the Evil Circus, 4 sisters, whatever. And I wanted to I'm thinking this kind of like tone, maybe, whatever. And then I was literally just a long back and forth of like, I started doing like, I have so many character sketches, like of like sisters, like they've gone through so many variations, because we were kind of developing it as we go, and I was developing it visually, and then he give him ideas, and then he would throw back like, oh, that looks cool, or I like this little bit here, like why don't we take that and run with it here, and whatever, this and that, and oh, like this, and then like, oh, what if she has like a Vespa, like oh, that's awesome, because like the whole European feel that we're trying to give it to, oh great, so I did some sketches of her on a Vespa, like like, oh, but then what, and then it became like this thing that kind of rolled and like developed visually. So we really like put a lot of time into like the world building and stuff, which is like another thing that you don't always get time to do. In other comics, usually it's like hitting the ground running. It's just like here you go, like you got to come out at this day. Here's your deadline, and just go and like design as you go, kind of thing. Design on the page, kind of stuff. Like which can be fun, but it's also like can be nerve wracking.
Yeah.
It's like, the whole huge villain in this whole second arc that I haven't even thought of like what he's gonna look like visually, and I have to figure it out, like and it's so an important character, so that kind of stuff is like a luxury when you have like what we had, which is like and I think it's our relationship with Image too, like we've both done many things with them, and the work I did with like Kirkman and everything, which is still Image, even though it's Skybound,
right,
it's imprint under Image, right? So I've been working with Image for a while now, and I have a really good relationship with Eric Stevenson, the publisher, and all that, and he kind of trusted us, which that was the other thing, which we can speak of as well, because like it's the trust they're having in us too, like, and like they were like, okay, we really like you guys, we have a good relationship, and then go. But then I think once they saw what we were doing, so yeah, the fact that they were like, all right, this is really cool, this is and here's a little more time, here's the here's that, and here and now they're like getting behind the book, they put our the first cover I did on like their banner at the booth in San Diego.
Oh, nice.
Like little things like that, or big things like that. Actually, to me, that's awesome to see my art that big.
Right.
But things like that, like, oh wow, they're really getting behind it. So yeah, so it made us excited too. Like, oh man, okay, so what we're doing is work, because we're working in our little bubble, and we're loving it, but also like we don't know if anyone else is gonna like this.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
we're loving it, but so having their feedback and they're getting behind us and giving us the time to like, hey, no, we want to make sure you're doing it right. We're not rushing this, whatever. And here, here's like a schedule that can really like let you cook on it. So it's been a great project. I said like. I don't want to jinx it too much, but like like I said, like if we keep doing this, I'd be completely happy doing this for like I don't know however long.
That's one of the things I wanted to ask you, because obviously this is from Image Comics, and I know, like I said, you and Rick have both worked with them before. Was this a concept you said, hey, we're doing this at Image, or was it kind of like we'll put out the concept and see who wants it, and Image grabbed it first? How did that come about, this being with Image Comics?
Yeah, I mean, it was always Image.
Okay.
Because Rick has been doing his Giant Generator stuff through them with all his great books, which out there, if you haven't checked out all his other stuff, it's amazing.
Right.
But so he's been doing he's had the good relationship, I said, and I was doing the other stuff with them, and Image. I mean, like it's no not to speak bad in any way of any other company or any of that, but like Image it's still just the best deal in comics. Like we own everything. We do whatever they get behind us. They publish and the freedom they're giving us because of our relationship right too. It's like I could not imagine doing this at any other company and getting this kind of like support and all that for the book. So it was something that it was important to us to do it there and stuff. And I'm still romantic about the legacy. I'm like, I grew up, in 80s, 90s, but I mean, I saw the birth of Image.
Yes.
And the original guys and all that stuff, and being able to work for that company still, to me, to this day, like it's still like a huge, really cool thing. Like, oh man, like just like when Wildcat Spawn and Savage Dragon also came out, and like wow, then my book, like granted, like they're
right,
kind of, the at the height of the whatever, but still, like just have like be a little part of that in any way. Like I have like a book that kind of stands in the same catalog as that or something in any way. Like is an awesome thing, and to try to keep pushing for that, like it's like that I have a I said still a romantic view of like Image Comics and all that stuff like that, and but it's justified in a lot of ways. Like I said, best to me, still best deal in comics. Like you can't beat what they're offering. They're literally just giving you the reins and giving you just like hey, look, we'll take publishing or not publishing, I'm sorry, some money to publish and whatever, like a little whatever, but basically you own everything. And it's not, we're not, like, which means that like whether you have a Walking Dead or this little book is that, or something huge like a Walking Dead or Saga or something like that, what I mean? Like Image is still taking their same cut, what I mean? Like that all the rest of that is going towards the creators and stuff like that, which is like it's just unheard of, like it's amazing. So that company, I have nothing but love for them and what they've done, and having them be able to grow up in the time and come in at the time, and to have them as an option during my career is like it's not lost on me.
It's hard to believe that's been a little over 30 years ago now that they've had, because I still think anytime anyone mentions something that happened in the 90s, I'm like, that was only 10 years ago. Oh, no, wait, it wasn't. Oh, my gosh. So it's hard to think, Mark Silvestri and Todd McFarlane and Jim Lee and all those people, they just got together and did this, and the company is still going really strong and doing a lot of great things. We just had Charles Soule and Ryan Brown on last week talking about their new comic. And one of the things I asked them, because obviously they were just talking, they've got 8 Billion Genies is being made into a series. So I love to ask, especially you as an artist with the visuals, do you picture when you're drawing these characters, the summer and the autumn and everyone, do you picture certain actors taking those roles?
I don't picture actors. No.
Okay.
Actually, honestly, like with this book, Rick and I have talked about how it would be amazing animated movie.
Yeah.
Like to kind of go straight to that. But no, I don't necessarily picture actors or actresses like that when I'm doing, like sometimes when I'm creating or designing a character, I'll kind of like base it off like, oh, this, like this would be like a Josh Brolin kind of guy or something like that. I kind of like use that as like a bait, but I would never like think of like necessarily like, oh, then you could be played by Josh Brolin later.
Okay.
Like all this, like Hollywood to me is always just like this crazy weird machine that I can never judge or anything and stuff. But and at the end of the day, also like I think Rick and I are both on the same page when it's like we want to make it a comic book first, a great comic book, hopefully, and make that as good as possible, and then hopefully, and then if it does move on to like be a film, be a TV show, be a whatever, toys, or I don't even know, like whatever else it goes on to be, that's like bonus and extra and awesome. So so like, but it's not something that like I'm picturing whatever when I'm doing the book or any of that. Like I'm like I try to get into that world and kind of get my head into that and creating that and being in there and something like that, and that would just pull me out of it. Okay. I mean, for me, I don't know, maybe other people like work differently, but for me, it would kind of pull me out of that world as like this unique little character that is in this thing. You know what I mean? Like that. If I start thinking of like, I wouldn't even know who off the top of my head, Sydney Sweeney, like has done the spray. I don't know, whatever. Like Daisy Ridley. I don't know. I'm trying to think of actresses. I don't even know. But like if I start thinking of that, then like, I feel like it would pull me out of like keeping that. Like even when I did Outcast. Outcast was a TV show. We were able to do 2 seasons of it and stuff, which was really awesome. I didn't actually watch a lot of it originally because I was doing the book, and then I watched like the first thing, and I would see like dailies. They would just send me stuff, and like so I would see stuff, and I would see what's happening to that. But like actual episode, I kind of like I realized when I started watching, I started going like, ooh. Oh, I really like what they did with the set design here. Like, even though it was like based off myself, I was like, oh, that's really cool little detail. And I started, I was like, I don't want that to influence what I'm doing.
Right.
Because,
yeah.
Because at the end of the day, like they're taking from me. If I start taking from them, and it's this weird and incestuous kind of thing that kind of so like even then I was like, I didn't watch till like after and stuff like when I was like, okay, now I can like sit down and watch it more because like I didn't want it to like I start drawing like the main character like Kyle as. Like the main character, the actors or that and all that. It was just like, let me distance myself from that so I can make the comic book good, and I don't know, that's how I work. I don't know. It's no slight to anybody else who's doing it differently or if that helps them imagine something like that, that's great, But for me, I try to just get into that world and create it as is in its own bubble.
Yeah. Well, as I was reading it, the only reason I asked is as I was reading the first issue, they sent me the PDF for the character of Spring. I kept thinking, boy, I could see Sadie Sink from Stranger Things playing this role. So that's just came to my head. But I'm always curious because some people have very definite ideas, and then other people are like, I'd rather, like you, they say, I'd rather not worry about that now. So
yeah. No, that would be awesome. Like I said, like I'm open to that stuff. Hey, they want to, like I always said, like Hollywood's like this weird machine that's going on or whatever, and my dealings with it I've had have always been like this weird, and so many things are just kind of like kind of amorphous or I don't know, whatever, like some kind of weird thing of like you never know what's gonna go, what's not gonna go, and this and how many promises they make and this and that. So I'm always like, I don't know, let them deal with that, and then I'll just have fun doing the comic book, and then when they cast some really cool actor, I'm like, awesome, they'll completely screw it up and stuff like that, I'm happy.
That's a good attitude. I think it's a very healthy attitude, honestly. Yeah. If I had to say so. If you're just now tuning in, we're talking with Paul Azaceta, talking about the Seasons #1 issue out in January. We're going to take another brief commercial break. We're going to come right back. We'll chat with him some more. We'll see if we can get Rick Remender on the line, too, the writer of the series. We'll see if we can get him on. But if not, we're having a great time talking to Paul. We're going to give away those tickets for Nosferatu. If you're listening, stand by. We'll do that here in the last part of the hour. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio on the Big 550 KTRS. Please stand by.
Sold separately.
Introducing the new Play-Doh Mop Top Hair Shop.
Well, they're the mop tops, the Play-Doh mop tops. Just turn the chair.
They grow Play-Doh hair.
They're the mop tops.
You can comb it, wave it, style it, or shave it.
The Play-Doh mop tops.
You can let it grow down to its toes.
They're the mop tops.
From the Play-Doh Mop Top
Hair Shop.
The Play-Doh Mop Top Hair Shop, sold with everything you see here. New from Kenner.
Here's Sit and Spin from Kenner.
You can spin around, sit around, even carry it around. Let's go inside. You can spin some more, like before, most anywhere you put it down.
Sit and Spin, the indoor-outdoor take-along spinning toy.
Wow! You can spin with one, spin with two. How you spin is up to you.
Sit and Spin. You put it together. From Kenner's Discovery Time.
I love nuzzling up to you, Wind Whistler. You're so soft.
So soft, my little pony. My little pony is so soft to touch.
I love the way you feel my so soft pony.
Paradise.
So soft,
Shady.
my little pony.
Wind
So
Whistler.
soft, you're gonna love
Ribbon.
it so much. So nuzzly
Lofty.
soft, you're gonna love her
Each sold separately.
You're so soft.
So soft, My Little Pony. Shady and others.
America.com/banking for business to learn more. What would you like the power to do? Copyright 2024 Bank of America NA.
This is Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio.
Ever since he passed, I come back every single show. We come back with the voice of Kevin Conroy at least once per show. Just one of the, such a loss. What an incredible human being and an incredible voice actor. Just celebrated his birthday posthumously last month. So, Kevin Conroy, we miss you, buddy. You're listening to Geek to Me Radio. Why don't you make sure we tell you about our premier comic book sponsor, Bugs Comics and Games. If you are wanting to pick up this new issue of The Seasons that Paul and I have been chatting about, and you're in the greater St. Louis, St. Charles area, go talk to Larry at Bugs Comics and Games. If you've already got a pull list with him, fantastic. Just say, hey, Larry, we want to make sure we add The Seasons to our pull list. That way he makes sure he orders enough copies to cover your pull list and the general public who are coming into the store as well. If you haven't gone to Bugs Comics and Games yet, I don't know what you're waiting for. It's right there on Bryan Road in O'Fallon, Missouri, between the Page Extension, Highway 364, and Highway 70. Easily accessible. Go in, and if you're wanting to save some money, come here a little closer. He's got the Avengers Club. You can save money on your comic books while you still enjoy your hobby. Sign up for the Avengers Club. You start saving money on your new issues, your back issues, your toys, your games, your bags, your boards, whatever it is you might buy. You can start saving that money. And then what I do is I use it to buy more comic books. So it doesn't really help me much. But the point is you're saving money, and that's a good thing. Larry's been in the business for a long time. He had a store before I could even drive a car. I used to ride my bike up to his very first store. And I was so excited when he said he's opening his store again. He was teaching for a while. Now he's back, and it's my very favorite comic book store. If you go see him, tell him you heard about it here on Geek to Me Radio. And like I said, make sure you put in your order now for The Seasons from Image Comics. Make sure you tell them you want to add that to your pull list. And if you start your pull list, that way you're not going to worry about missing out on a comic. Sometimes you get there and, oh my gosh, the first issue of Two-Face from DC Comics sold out. Oh, I missed that issue of the She-Hulk where this happened. You don't miss it if you put it on your pull list. That way he takes it aside, off the shelf, nice and neat, near mint, sets it aside in your box, and it's saved. If you can't get it on new comic book day, you go 2 or 3 days later, boom, it's in your box and waiting for you. How can it get any better than that? Check him out on Facebook. Bugs Comics and Games on Facebook. Make sure you give the page a like. And if you're on Instagram, you can check him out, Bugs Comics and A&D Games. You can check out the stuff he's got up there. If you're listening outside the greater St. Louis, St. Charles area and you're not in the area where you can drive to him, he does put stuff up on Instagram. If you see something you like, type claim and he'll send you a PayPal invoice. You pay the invoice. He ships the comic to your door. It's like having your own local comic book store online. Bugs Comics and Games. Very proud to have them as the official comic book sponsor here on Geek to Me Radio. Chatting for just a little while longer here with Paul Azaceta about The Seasons. Number 1, due out January 29th. Do you know the cutoff for this, Paul? How long do they have if they want to add it to their pull list for the pre-orders to kick in?
I wish I knew the exact date, but it's definitely got another month or so. Yeah, because it'll be out in January or so we got by the end of this month or early January. I forget exactly what the date is. I wish I knew that. These are things I should know.
That's right. No, it's the end of January for when the book comes out. So I'm assuming you'd have at least until like probably the middle of January to get a pre-order in.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah, somewhere in the beginning, middle of January, something like that as well. I'm assuming too. Yeah, I forget the actual date. I sit down, I draw the book. I don't know, and there's other people who handle all these like scheduling stuff. That
you've got enough happening. You've got enough just drawing the book, which is gorgeous, by the way. I mentioned that earlier. It's absolutely fantastic art, and I'm so excited to see as we get deeper into each issue what the horror element will bring. We talked about some of the other stuff you've done. You've done a lot of other things. Do you fall into when you have certain writers? Like I'm assuming, like you and Rick, this is the first thing you guys have actually worked on together. Am I correct in this?
Yes and no. But yes is the first book we've done. But there was an old years ago, there was an anthology that Image put out called 24/7. It was actually headed by another creator called Ivan Brandon, who's a great writer. And he kind of put together this and edited this whole anthology. It took place basically, it was like New York. The theme was like New York and robots. It was just like a very broad theme, and then Rick and I did a short story in that years ago. So technically it's not the first thing we've done, but it's really the first book that we put together that's like the whole, our first like real project, something like that. So and like I said, I've known him for I don't like to think about the years because it makes me feel old, but I've known him for many years, like that. So we've always been trying to do it, but like I said, it's one of those weird things. Like I have so many friends that ended up doing great things and stuff, and I want to work with them, and like, but it's always scheduling. It's always like, oh, I'm busy with this, so I'm doing that. I was doing Outcast for like how many years now, so I was just kind of like in that mode for a while, so but then as soon as that finished, it was one of those things. As soon as that finished, one of the first people talking to was like, hey Rick, okay, look, I'm finished with this. I'm probably gonna do a couple little things there, but like I don't want to do anything big until we figure something out. So let's figure this out, and like I said, like I said before, I threw a few ideas at me, and I was like, this one, awesome. Then we started developing, and then here we are, which is like an awesome thing to see. Like I was so happy when we had the first issue, once we got it colored and then lettered and everything like that, and he sent me that first PDF of like, all right, here's like the first proof, like some spelling errors, but little thing like that, but just basically here it is. I remember just looking at it like, wow, we did it. Like I was thinking back like how many months ago, a year and a half, I don't even know how long it was when we first started like that whole thing. That it was just like wow, man, like I remember we were talking about this thing, and like here it is, like and it was so cool to see it, like even though things change and everything too, it's still like, wow, this is what we were talking about, like from that first conversation. Like we want to do something like whimsical, fun, but also like some heart. They're like all that tonal stuff that we were talking about, like wow, so it's like it's been really exciting to see it, like come together and stuff like that. And then now that I get to talk about it finally, because we've been working on it for like how many months, and I was like I just had to tell people, like, hey, I'm working on something with Rick, but I was like, the most I could do, like I didn't want to give anything away. I didn't want to like promote too early, because then people just get like forget about it, and that's a whole other like how would you say that, like a whole other like side of the business.
Yeah.
That like that is like a whole other thing. So but now finally it's like previews are out. This is now I get to talk about it. I get to and people get to see it and so like that. So I'm so happy. Like you're saying, like you dig into artwork, so that I've gotten some other positive feedback from people, so I'm like, this is awesome. Like I'm so happy. It's just almost like a relief to finally like, oh, yeah, I can talk about this.
Yeah. And I know my last question is I don't want to keep you too much longer, but I'm curious, as an artist, they always talk about the method of storytelling. There's the Marvel method, as it were, and then the people talked about how they used to do things back in DC, the modern things with even like Kickstarters, people working together with the different writers, and you've worked with some fantastic writers. With the different writers you've worked with, what is it that you as an artist, what is it that you find from a writer coming in makes your job easier?
Great question. That's a really good question, because I have been really lucky to work with like some really great writers, and actually have a little like Rick and everything, like that are actually friends of mine too. So
yeah,
get to pick their brain a little bit sometimes and everything too, because I definitely have stuff that I'm working on that I'm going to write and draw and stuff too. Like so I want to do that as well alongside the book that we're doing. But I think the main thing I've realized, and this was actually working with Wade, Mark Wade. Mm-hmm. I think it was when it kind of crystallized for me, like what makes the good writer that I like to work with and stuff like that too. And it was Wade was like, we actually did a lot of like quote unquote Marvel style with that. There was a lot of things where I think he just kind of left it pretty open for like panel to panel stuff and whatever, and kind of the broad strokes and the whatever, But even then, it was so clear and so simple. And not in a story where there's still complexity of stories, but like just like as far as laying out, and like each page didn't feel like crowded, nothing felt overworked over this or in any way like where I had to figure out like, okay, how do I make this thing work? How do I fit all these things into this page, all these elements, all these beats, all these whatever it is, everything was just so simple and so easy. And I said the best compliment I could give him, which at first I think maybe even sounds like not a compliment or whatever, but it's like it seems like you wrote this just like in an afternoon, like just like that, but like in the best possible way, right, where like it's just so free and easy in a way, like, because I know he worked hard at it, but he's so smart about, like, he knows exactly what fits on a page, what how to hit the beats, how to, in a way where, like, it just makes that clear. And then if I could work with a writer that I could just not have to worry about making it work, I could just work out how do I make this good, and make it look cool. Then that's my thing, like Kirkman is another one that's really great. He's a little more full script, but he's always open to, like, me changing things. But he was always like, oh, but this is the way I see it. I have to write full script so I could get it down, but change what you need and this, now, whatever, so he's really open to that. But at the same time, like, it was script, but it was always, again, it was like easy. Like, there was nothing ever where I was like, oh man, this doesn't make sense. Or like, he's in the living room here and then now he's out here. Like, how do I, like, doesn't make sense. And, like, there's no logistical weird problems that I have to, like, finagle or whatever,
Right.
And so as long as it's that writer who can, like, really think visually, and if you don't mind me, like, going on a little too much maybe, but also it's the like, I always tell writers, or not tell writers like I'm somebody, but I mean, like, I always mention it to even friends about that. Like, I really think writers should draw a book, even if it's stick figures, even if it's what, like, not draw a book like to publish or anything, but like just draw it out. Because I think there is a thing about, like, there's a difference between, like, writing for, like, a novel or something like that, but like when you're writing something that's going to be translated visually, like, because at the end of the day, like, doesn't matter what they write, they can write a very beautiful script. Grant Morrison can use all these beautiful flowery words, or Alan Moore can write these, like, like 17-page, for one page, like description and stuff like that too. But at the end of the day, I still have to translate that. So if you could just understand it on a real deep level of, like, what exactly the comic language is visually, I think that is the thing. Oh, this is Rick now.
Oh,
calling. So
okay.
Hello.
We're taking Rick's call. Calm down, people. We're seeing what.
Yes, sorry.
No worries.
Yeah, I'm talking to them now, though.
For those of you just tuning in, Paul Azaceta is taking a call from Rick Remender on the phone. We'll see what we get.
Yes, it's video, it's radio, but they have a video element. Yeah.
And if you want to let him know, we're probably going to be wrapping up here, so we're probably going to wrap up anyway because I still have to do the giveaway. So, you gentlemen are welcome to come back on before the book comes out, though. Have you heard that?
I am a bad assistant to myself, and I just got the dates wrong.
No worries.
Right, well, I'll call you back though, Rick, and then let me do this then, and no worries, we'll figure it out. All right.
He's all right. That's the main takeaway, folks, is that Rick Remender's all right. We don't need to worry.
He's alive and whatever, and he's just really apologetic. He said,
no worries. So stuff happens. That's fine. But no, I mean, this was great. Plus, I mean, it's very rare because usually if I have a writer and artist on, I feel like I'm trying to split everything so it's even. But we have to really focus on you and your incredible art for this. So that's been great.
And he usually does talk a lot, so it's actually nice for me too. Like,
good. See, fantastic. So we really put the spotlight on you, Paul. That's fantastic. But as we're wrapping up here, tell everyone if they want to keep up with you, where they can find you. If you're active on social medias, websites you want to send them to, stuff like that.
Oh yeah, definitely. I have Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok. It's Paul Azaceta. It's my name, so Paul Azaceta at Paul Azaceta. On those platforms like that. I try to post out, and now that they're getting the word out there, I'll be posting more stuff about the seasons, and maybe a little behind the scenes, what I can, just now, whatever, like some stuff covers and all that stuff. So I'm definitely gonna, like, put a bunch of stuff on there. There's already some stuff on there. And then the other thing, I have a Big Cartel site, which is like some of my original artwork. I've been kind of handling that myself. So, like, commissions and original artwork. So, like, so look for me on Big Cartel for that. And then all social media, stuff like that. And I'm going to try to continue doing that. I was trying to see if I get some kind of YouTube thing going too, but that's a whole other, like, beast.
Yeah,
but
it really is. Trust me.
Instagram, like that. I'm always trying to post stuff with that, whatever, posting artwork and all that.
Perfect. And if you're listening to this after the fact, in the show notes, scroll down to the bottom of the page down there, and we'll have links to Paul's stuff in the show notes. Paul Azaceta, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a blast. We'll definitely be looking forward to seeing the season number 1 when it comes out in January.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Thank you. Have a good rest of your night.
You too, man.
There he goes. Make sure you check that book out. We'll have links to that in the show notes. Real quick, we got a couple minutes left, so what we're going to do, I'll make this very easy. I'm going to give away 2 pairs of tickets, so we can have 2 winners. If you're wanting to win tickets to go see, and you have to be in the greater St. Louis area as far as my understanding goes now. If that changes for next week, I'll let you guys know. But if you're in the greater St. Louis, St. Charles area, I'll give away 2 pairs of tickets. All you have to do, give us a call right now at 314-931-5877. That's 314-931-5877. I'll make this very simple. All you have to do is tell me your favorite vampire movie. That's your favorite vampire movie. Call us right now, 314-931-5877. If you have to think about it for a minute, that's fine, because we're going to be ending the show here in just about 1 minute. So if you don't get on the phones, I'll watch the phones for about 10 minutes after the show ends, and we'll give away those tickets. I just need to hear from you, get your answer, and then we'll tell you how to get that code for a pair of tickets to go see Nosferatu. Joey V and I got to see this one December the 5th. And I loved it. I'm not sure Joey was such a big fan of it. I can't remember. Were you a big fan?
I was not a big fan of Nosferatu. It reminded me of if someone made another Christmas Carol movie right now and stuck to the original text, it wouldn't be that interesting. You got to do something different with it. We've seen that story so many times. Not enough gore. It was 2 hours. If it was 90 minutes, I think I would have liked it a lot more. But it's so spooky looking. It's great. It's got great vibes. I think people will like seeing it, though.
Yeah, I think it's going to do well at the box office, especially coming out on Christmas Day. What doesn't say Christmas like a vampire movie? That's what I say.
And then Shadow of the Vampire. That's my favorite movie.
With Willem Dafoe, again, who now plays Van Helsing,
and it's
Van Helsing character.
It's about making Nosferatu with a real vampire. I love that movie as well.
Yeah, that was a great movie. 1999, I believe. Yes, thank you. That's going to do it for us. We got a couple phone calls coming in. If you're dialing in right now, don't go away. I'm going to have to hit the button here in 10 seconds. So I'm going to do the outro, but I'm going to get to you. So if you're calling in right now, keep ringing. I'm going to pick up the phone in just a moment. But I do have to do the outro music now. There it goes. It's playing us out. Thank you to Paul Azaceta for joining us to talk about the seasons. Thank you to Joey V. There's the cameras going around. There he goes, making the show and helping me out with all the tech issues and everything else. And thank you to Bugs Comics and Games. Thank you to Discover St. Charles, discoverstcharles.com.
It's not in the way you watch iZombie. It's not in the way you watch The Flash. It's not in the way you love Scotty Young Art. It's not in the way you play Mario Kart. It's not in the way you look when you make Game of Thrones references. That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio. That's our show. This is Geek to Me Radio.
Thank you, New York City. Good night.
The Big 550 KTRS.